Hi, I'm Janine and I'm with Pangolin Photo Safaris on the Chobe River today, and we're going to shoot a Pied Kingfisher with a beautiful dark background to show you the importance of choosing the right background for your image. Pied Kingfishers are quite patient birds on this river, and we're going to try and sneak up to him with our beautiful 600mm lens that we have here. Over there you see the Pied Kingfisher sitting beautifully in the sun in front of a very dark stump. So we're going to try and underexpose him by roughly -2. I don't want any highlights clipped, therefore the background will turn pitch black or almost pitch black. That will really elevate the subject from its background. It will look really beautiful and pop. Let's give it a try. While I look at him, I see he's looking to the left, so I'm going to shift my focus point a bit to the right and up. Therefore, when I focus on his face, I give him a little bit of space to look into your picture and for your imagination to roam wild. That looks beautiful. Let's have a look on that nice dark background over here. We're going to give it a try in portrait. Also, we don't need to have a very fast shutter in this instance. Even though it is a bird, we're only shooting him sitting still. So we want to make sure we double our focal length, which is a 600mm lens. I'm going to shoot him around 1600 with the crop factor. That should make sure that I don't shake up my picture. Nice. Make sure you get the glint in the eye and a little bit of a sparkle on the beak. Otherwise the black beak will merge with the dark background, and we try to avoid that. Hi, I'm Janine and I'm with Pangolin Photo Safaris in the editing suite of the Pangolin Chobe Hotel here in Botswana. Earlier this morning we shot a beautiful Pied Kingfisher against a dark background, and now I want to go ahead and download the pictures and have a look how we can edit them together. Let's get started. Here I have one of the shots of the Pied Kingfisher. You see it is a beautiful dark background to start with, and we're going to try and shoot as close as possible in camera as we can, so that we minimize our editing effect and that it also doesn't look so over-edited, even if you shoot on RAW. I advise always to have a quick look at your settings. It teaches you a lot about what you do out there in the field. I was shooting fast, not fast enough to catch the Pied Kingfisher in flight, but for a portrait it would have been good enough. Fairly low f-stop. We were drifting quite a lot, so I didn't want to shoot much lower than that. I knew my background is going to be black and therefore not an issue. And because I'm asking for very little light for a change, my ISO could drop down nicely. So we're not going to have an issue with a noisy or grainy picture in this instance. This morning I advised you all to shift your focus point over to the right-hand side so that the bird has space to look into the frame. However, you see in this photograph that is not the case. Sometimes life comes different than what we would like it to be, and post-production editing gives us a beautiful chance to correct some of our mistakes. In this instance, I would really crop that picture down. I like lots of negative space, but in this instance he just doesn't have enough space on the left-hand side. It is too unbalanced. So I'm going to crop it down to make sure that the bird is sitting more on the right-hand side of the photograph, putting the eye on the top third of the horizontal line. Like that, it looks a lot more balanced. He's looking from right to left, which is, according to photography rules, not ideal. In Western cultures, we're reading from left to right, so it looks natural for us. If animals look from left to right, we could flip it around, but it's a matter of taste really at the end. If I go to my basic settings here, my major goal in this instance is to try and get my exposure right. Not the overall exposure in the frame. You see my histogram is leaning heavily to the left for the dark background, but in order to get the exposure in the bird right. You want to have a look. All these white colors shouldn't be blown out. You see, if I hover my mouse over the whitest part, underneath the histogram you'll see some numbers. None of them reach 100. That means I haven't blown my whites. That was my goal. I'm going to try and get a perfect exposure by balancing my whites and my blacks. The way I'm going to do it is I'm going to take the white slider and press the Alt button at the very same time. As I slide the slider, you'll see the bird appearing. I don't want to see any whites. Anything that is white has been blown, so I want to just slide it far enough that I just don't see any white bits. And the same we do the other way around. If I see blacks in the background, that is fine. I strived for a nice and dark background. But I really don't want to have any blacks in my bird because they are lost information. You'll see I hardly shifted the sliders at the end. We were on a pretty decent exposure to start with. If you want to, you can make the shadows even darker in the background. I'm going to pull my highlights to the negative side, not too far because then our bird becomes dull, but enough that the feathers become slightly more visible. There we go. He has a beautiful catch light in the eye, exactly what we wanted. Because I shot on a raw file, you see it's a CR2 file, I'm going to have to sharpen my image afterwards. By nature it is not really sharpened yet. If I sharpen too extreme, I'm going to get a very pixelated effect in my bird. You might see it here in our detailed view. I shot on a low ISO, it's not going to be too much of an issue, but you have to be careful, especially if you end up printing quite large. In order to avoid this effect, I'm going to be masking my picture. Masking means that I'm not going to sharpen the entire screen, the entire surface area, but only certain bits, the most contrasty bits that our eyes are going to catch onto when we look at the picture for the first time. So I'm going to take the masking slider, I'm going to press my Alt button. You see everything that is white is being sharpened, and I only want the rough outlines to be sharpened extra. And then I can sharpen a little bit stronger without affecting any pixelation. If you want the bird to pop just a tad more, you can also play with your clarity, especially on a picture with a low ISO. There we go. That is pretty much all we need to do. If you enjoy your effects, you can add a little bit of a dark vignette around it. It works really well on a picture with a dark background because it doesn't look fake and obtrusive. It might take the highlights out of this corner a little bit more. I could decide to make the background pitch black. These highlights are here because those are the bits in the photograph that were still illuminated by the sun and not in the shadow. Or you can leave it natural. I don't feel these highlights are bothering my eye. They're not too bright. It looks natural to have a little bit of pattern around here in the background. And it was fairly easy to edit. It was pretty close in camera, and that's what we strive to achieve. Thanks for watching, guys. I really hope this video was helpful to you. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to subscribe or press the bell button down at the bottom to get notifications for all the new videos that are going to come out. Bye-bye.